Okay, here it is. So here's my black dye stock. I'm going to be distributing this between all 4 pans and saving enough for myself to have for my next batch that I'm going to be doing. So this is just my first batch, so I have more. So I got to save some for my next batch. Okay, so I added my black color and I'm really digging what's happening right now. So I just added it down here at the base, and I don't want to jostle it too much. I don't want to spread it anywhere. I just pushed the yarn down so that it was evenly distributed on the parts that I directly added it to, but I want the water to move the dye on its own. I don't want to give it too much help because I know the dye is going to travel through the strands of yarn, through the water, and adhere to the yarn that way. So I don't want to move it around too much. I want to just see what happens if I let it kind of move through the water on its own. So do you guys remember this girl that I mentioned to you right here? She kind of looks like she's been stuck in the middle of this and she didn't really intend on being there. I really love this like sandy neutral color of what she's wearing compared to the really standout white and black of what most of the other people seem to be wearing. And I want to kind of like go with that. So I'm thinking that in addition to my black that I have right here creeping up that pink part of the yarn, I think I want to kind of work with that sandy color of that girl's clothes. So I'm thinking I'm going to add maybe another layer of something, and I think I want it to be kind of like a sandy neutral color. Alright guys, so here we have it. This is the color that I'm using. It's kind of like a sandy color, kind of hard to see what it's looking like here. I'm going to distribute this among these 4 pans and see how it comes out. I'm excited. Okay, let's talk a little bit about thoughts on what to do next, what we have so far, the picture that we're working with here. Okay, so this was my black right in here. This is where that sandy color kind of came in. Not a lot of difference, but it's definitely toned down that pink in this area. But I'm happy with doing that. I like the kind of gradual toning down of that pink on this side. Over here we still just have that bright pink, and then of course nothing's happening here. So I like what's happening right here. It's the same in all pans. I like the consistency between lots. This is what I'm thinking so far. In that picture, let's go over here to where the picture is. In that picture, we have the layers of dark to, you know, some color coming in, to bright, like speckly color up here, and then white where it's washed out. I'm thinking with these skeins, what I'd like to do, I'd like to stick to the dark here, that like muted grayish sandy color here, and then the pink, and then of course this is going to be that representing that white space at the top. I'd like to bring in some of those multicolored splashes of color in the photo in here in the form of speckles, and I'd like to carry this black to this side of the yarn in the form of black, light black speckles. I think that would look really cool. And then this, when we're all done with what's happening here, this is going to have carryover speckles from this section here, those multicolored speckles of spearmint green and yellow and that really pretty like fluorescent orange and so on and so forth. So that's going to kind of carry over here. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to do. But the next step right now is I'm going to go ahead and add some light black speckles to this portion of the yarn. Okay, so you've seen what it looks like, and I am really excited about the direction we've taken this. So we have multicolored speckles all over that first pink section after the black section. I'll go ahead and show you as I talk about it. We have our black and gray, our multicolored speckles, our white, and our pink with our black speckles over here. I'm loving kind of the approach to this colorway. I think it's gonna be great. Now this section right here, I already know what you're thinking because I have thought it so many times. You're probably thinking like, I'm not so sure how that's gonna look based on what it looks like in the pan. Now, if I had to give you one piece of advice right now when it comes to dyeing yarn, do not ever judge your dye job until it is hanging on the rack. Better yet, don't even judge it until it is dry and either twist it into a skein or you're laying it out on a table in front of you. Don't judge it yet. The more you do this, the more experience you have doing this, the more you realize that it is always more beautiful dry than it is in the pan. Always, always, always. And I know just by looking at this how beautiful it's going to be when it comes out, so you can trust me. But yeah, definitely do not judge your work until it's dry. Okay, so it's time to start taking that, taking care of that pale white section of yarn. Now I have a plan for how I want to do this. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. There is still a little bit of pink happening over here because like we talked about, it's, you know, it's just there, it hasn't fully exhausted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these skeins out of these pans, transfer them into these pans down here, add a little bit of water to start the steaming process in these pans, so that way I don't drop this pale yarn down into that dye stock and tinge it with pink. The more I've been working with this, the more I would like to keep this as white as possible. And then what I'll do is I will do my next batch of this colorway in these pans of yarn and just add a little bit less of this rhodamine dye stock into the pan. So I'll just kind of reuse the color that's still in here for the next batch. So hopefully I won't have as much of that pink left over afterwards. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna transfer these skeins into these empty pans, add a little bit of water, bring it up to temperature, and it will be ready for speckling this undyed portion of yarn.